Welcome back to another Flywheel Films video and a very special car with a very special guest. This is Pete coming all the way from Canada.
Yes, sir.
Kind of by way of LA, I guess. You spent a long time in LA.
Rose your family.
And yeah, you know, I've met Pete through Miata stuff. It's a great community. But turns out he actually, just a quick story, Pete helped launch Need for Speed 2, which is what got me into cars. And that is truly special to me. So thank you for your service.
My pleasure.
But anyways, this behind us is kind of why we're filming. And clearly, immediately, something's a bit different. This is one of the few Miatas that is not a convertible. And I think a lot of people just assume blanket statement that they are, and that's a pretty large blanket. Most of them are. Pretty much all of them.
Yeah, most of the million plus.
Yeah. So yeah, well over 1 million Miatas. But of those, I mean, there was a couple hundred, less than a couple hundred. 179 of the NB Coupes.
Yes.
Now, what year is this?
2004.
2004. For those math nerds out there, that's 21 years ago. In the US, 25 years is the import law, but as you're from Canada, and this has British Columbia license plates,
15.
15. I might move to Canada just because of that rule, honestly.
Yeah, this is only sold in Japan, so you couldn't get them here.
Right.
Which is why that import law is key.
Right. So, you know, once I visit you also, I'm sure I'll want to move there. So you're already selling Canada pretty hard right now.
Pretty good place.
How did you come across this and get it over here? Like, what was that?
Moved back to Canada for family reasons after 20 years of being away. And my first thought was, what kind of car things can I do? And the 15-year rule, as you said, came into play. And I thought, well, what would be fun that was 15 years old? I wanted a right-hand drive car.
Yeah.
I lived in England for a bunch of years. It's just kind of fun, shifted with the other gear.
Right, yeah.
And so I started looking for NB Coupes. I had a broker who helped bid on a few for me unsuccessfully. And one night, it was just before 2 a.m., I got a text saying, silver 1.6 NB Coupe, bone stock has come into auction this afternoon. Are you interested?
Wow.
And between 2 and 3, I'd seen some pictures of the undercarriage and checked it out and said, yeah, let's put in a bid.
Wow.
He said, how much? So I gave him a really big number. And we won the auction, but it was 24 hours before he could confirm the final price that I paid. So I had a day of being terrified.
Oh yeah, right.
But I got it for, there was only one other bid against me, so I got it for a really good price. And 2 months later, it showed up in Vancouver, and I went and picked it up.
That's amazing.
The process in Canada is really easy for registering a car. You need daytime running lights. They do a few checks, but your headlights have to always go on. And other than that, it was 30 minutes to get license plates and be on your way.
That sounds amazing. You're selling Canada, like I
Sorry.
said. No, it's great. Sorry.
It's Canadian, yeah.
But this, I mean, this is gorgeous. Even as is, you bought it, like you said, stock.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, is that hard to find? Well, let's talk about the market of these first of all. Like, how often do you see these come up? And how much more than an NB are we talking?
Big range, actually. So in 4 years of looking, I think I've probably seen about 10 come through auctions or stores, or there's 3 online right now for sale, 2. I think one just got bought. So yeah, sporadically, prices range. There was 4 models, Type A, Type E, that both had unique body kits. And then a Type S, which was basically a VVT standard NB with the fastback, and then a 1.6, the poverty spec with the 14-inch wheels. So those were the 4. The highest I think I ever saw, the Type A is sort of the most desirable one. Comes in yellow and red. Highest I've seen those go for was sort of low 40,000 before import process and all the rest of it.
Right.
The lowest I saw one go for was just over $6,000, but it was not in good shape. Lots of body rust and stuff.
So as you said, I mean, 179, but like that was 20 plus years ago, which means there's probably less now.
Maybe a few less.
Things happen, but it's awesome to see it in your hands, and you've clearly done some things to it. I mean, you found it stock, which is really cool, but that's a canvas. You can make it your own.
Well, I think for me, you know, Keynote was such a huge part of it, but just discovering what people were doing in Japan in the early 90s and 2000s to make their roadsters cool has just been a huge inspiration. For this, I wanted to make sure everything was reversible, so no sunroof. Not that I would anyway, but you know. But everything so I could put it back to stock. So, you know, first mods were T37s in 15 by 8 plus 25, which to me is a fantastic spec. Got those from a friend that had had them on his car for quite a while.
It does look really good, and Austin behind the camera is a huge fan of T37s.
Big fan.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And we should pause and mention what Keenod, for those who don't know, I mean, huge Miata enthusiast family.
Next Friday is our 19th anniversary.
Wow.
Even though I live in Canada, it's still sort of the home club.
Yeah.
Every Friday night, City of Industry, somewhere between 25 and 60 Miatas get together and hang around the parking lot.
Yep.
Increasingly, which is fantastic to see more and more scheduled drives.
Yep.
Track days, you know, all my early track days in my NA were Keenod guys saying, come along, come to Grange, come to AWS, come to Laguna Seca.
Yep.
We've got a decent contingent out here, about 10 or 11 from the club. So just, it's a fantastic group.
Awesome guys. We've shown John B on the channel before. I mean, a lot of great friends, and that's, ushers in a lot of community. But sorry, continuing on, past the wheels.
So after the wheels, 949, Sonny actually installed Zetas on this for me and corner balanced. And
Nice.
So got those out of the way. Car make Horns exhaust, N10, which gave the 1.6, the kind of wimpy 1.6, a lot more character.
Yeah, right.
So that was my first trip down to LA to see everybody, and that's stayed at that for a little bit. We can do a little walk around. I can show you some of the other stuff.
Yeah. Let's see it. So the fenders here folding in, those are
Jetstream, manufactured in Japan. I brought those back as checked baggage to avoid the shipping fees.
It's awesome.
Zoom Engineering make those turn these signal lights.
Sides indicators.
That's a JDM staple, right?
Yeah. Well, by law you have to have the lights there. You don't have to have the corner lights. Right. So this was a Type A Coupe spec bumper. Didn't come on this car, but Bill Wilner, who runs the shifter kit company.
Okay.
He'd found one and was going to put it on his car and decided he didn't want it, and very kindly let me take it off his hands. So
that's a factory piece.
That's a factory piece.
Wow.
So this is trying to be OEM plus a little bit, but I absolutely loved it.
I thought it was also Jetstream, just the way that it kind of played into the side strakes on the fender there.
I got a really good friend, TJ, who said, I love that you lined that up. And I'm like, lined what up? And I'm like, oh, I'm really glad you pointed that out. It does look good.
We got to get TJ's car on the channel.
We really do.
Yeah, I love his car. Wow, he's a wonderful human being. But so, that carried around through. And then just at the back here quickly. So, another wonderful human being, a good friend in Australia, Mark, helped find this rear spoiler, which again was an option, but not on this car. Drove several hours to go pick it up from a guy who'd wrecked his NB Coupe on track, or not wrecked it, but done some damage.
Yeah.
Got that from him. And then the Jetstream rear diffuser.
Super cool.
And the Moretti rear lights, I'm not sure if I love them yet.
Yeah.
They look really good on dark cars.
Yeah, I've seen this very similar kit on NCs, and I have the same thought. In some cases, I've seen them look amazing, and some I'm like torn. And I feel like I would enjoy them, but I don't know. I wish you could just like pick, in the morning, wake up and decide which one you want on the car.
It's funny you say that. I've kept the original ones, and it's less than a 5-minute job to swap them.
Really?
So that's good.
Okay.
On my blue NA, I've got 3 trunks that are color matched with different spoilers, and again, that's 4 bolts, right?
Yeah.
4 nuts, sorry.
This man wakes up and picks a spoiler and goes.
It was Dave Woolery, actually. I went to his garage the first time, like, look at all these green hard tops and soft tops and things with yellow stripes. He's like, it's like,
That's awesome.
Lego. You just swap it out and how you feel. I'm like, yeah.
Now, I feel like a question I've heard in the enthusiasts who maybe aren't fully aware of how this car works. People are wondering, is it a pass-through situation like you see with the GR86 and stuff, or is it separate Miata trunk like normal and then just more space inside? Like, how is the Coupe integrated?
So it's the trunk is bespoke, so because it kind of climbs up here.
Right.
I was talking to Bob Hall and I said, it's such a shame that it's not a hatchback with all this extra space.
Exactly, yeah.
And he said, no. I said, why not? I said, that'd be great. He says, the rigidity in this was really the game changer for me.
Okay.
You spend all this time trying to do bracing and other things to stop the inherent limitations of a convertible, and this Doesn't have any of that. So it's just a trunk.
This solves it. Okay.
There's stuff in the trunk, so you don't want.
Well, it's fine. But by the way, I mean, we glossed over the fact that there's only 179 because of a factory fire.
Yeah, so December 2004. So when Mazda was making the MSM, the turbo, and this, they took the NB off the line, brought it over to Ingenia plant,
Yep.
did the turbo, did the coupe, and then it burned down. So production of both of those were limited, and they were already transitioning to, it was 2004, so they were already, the NC were in their sights. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where they left it off.
Wow, that's sad.
I think it's sad. I'm
It's
obviously
a very
big
cool
fan.
car. Yeah, and I would have loved to see what subsequent generations would have done with a coupe.
Yeah.
Even if it was a limited, smaller run model, I think there are enough. We made a lot of people. I mean, we filmed earlier with Kevin's car. He had the K-swapped NC.
Yeah.
He didn't want a roadster. So he only found one that came with a painted hard top that matched, which still doesn't have the rigidity. But he wanted the Miata for the platform, but not because of the topless.
Well, it's interesting because on NC they did the power folding hardtop, and the ND's done the RF, which is kind of a Targa thing. So they've kind of got their own ideas of this now. But to me, I love the lack of complication and moving pieces and some of these lines. I every time I clean the car, I look at this line and I'm just thinking of the person who was still, because these were still a lot designed by hand, not just CAD. So there was someone who was really thinking about how that.
It's very. I mean, from right here, it's like you almost see. You can't tell how long the hood is, so you can almost see like a Jaguar E-Type esque shape. And I'm a huge fan. I've always loved the NB styling for sure, and I think it suits it best in this coupe form. And it almost feels like a mini FD RX-7.
It feels very baby FD to me.
Tom Matano, we were at one of those Ohio meets in Northern California, and they set it up so I parked next to Tom's silver FD, and he said, it's like a baby ND or FD, and I'm like, it's always been a bucket list car, but rotaries terrify me. So
you like simplicity. Just mention that.
Just keep it simple. Maybe BP swap an FD. I don't know.
That'd be interesting. Let's look inside, because this thing, we're starting to get more shade now. We had to swap phones, by the way, because it is so hot out here that the phone overheated. But this is so stunning. I am also a huge fan of right-hand drive.
Yeah.
I mean, I've driven mostly Cappuccinos and Honda Beats, but
Yeah. Well, if I can twist your arm, I'd love you to take this out and let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'd love to. So cool.
So Nakamai-san is a leather upholsterer and makes parts for roadsters from Japan, has done forever. I'm a huge fan of his work. He's a true artisan. So these seats I managed to talk a friend out of.
Yep.
He hasn't been producing seats for a while, or taking orders anyway. So the seats, the little leather cubby, the shifter boots, the drink holder, he just, a lot of color matching pieces, the leather gauge cover.
That's very OEM plus.
Yeah, the little handle covers. So just nice little details, but, goes back to a time when there's a different level of craftsmanship in sports cars. So it's got a bit of that feel. I've done a center console delete or partial delete with a short shift, and then a carpet covering that's, not the cut pile, but the loop. Bill's tall angled shifter kit, which I just love the feel. It's so close to the steering wheel that,
that's nice.
It's quick to go through the gears. And then, a few pieces from Artworks Duo, which he was another craftsman in Japan a long time ago that made, the vent rings and the gauge cluster and the gauge faces. And, again, jewelry-like quality, I think a lot of people talk about. But
those are very important. I mean, they're touch points, with the steering wheel and the shifter, but also look points. I mean, you're looking at the road, but also glancing at the gauges. And if you see the gauges that you love, then that makes a big difference. And one of the early mods I did was just, replacing gauge faces. Very simple to just do the piece of paper effectively, but it's amazing how much of a difference it makes.
Rev Limiter Adam Wolf is a very dear friend, and I've had to make custom gauges for my NA. Haven't come up with an idea of what I want for custom for the NBs yet, but certainly be looking forward to talking to him about what that might be.
I just picked one off the shelf that he made because I was like, this is pretty much what I would do if I did custom, and it worked. And so I see a badge in the middle there too, or a plaque, I guess. Roadster.
Well, there's a company in Japan that makes those plaques for inside cars. I put it there mostly because I get a kick out of it. This is called a Roadster Coupe, which I think is an oxymoron.
It is.
Roadster means open top, coupe means the other. And so, but that's what it was called in Japan. So.
Well, who else does that is Smart. Smart has the Smart Roadster Brabus Coupe, or the Smart Roadster Coupe, if you don't get the Brabus. They also do that, which is really funny now that you mention it.
Things like that are kind of neat to me.
Yeah.
Last two bits on the interior are just the steering wheel. The Mazda Speed D-Cut is my favorite wheel to hold.
It's just beautiful too, yeah.
It's just back to a time when Mazda was doing some really great things with their aftermarket plus kind of things.
Right.
And then the Zoom rear mirror is Yoshida-san from Zoom has been a good friend for 10 years, and that's a Monaco asymmetrical mirror with carbon on the back. Just,
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's stunning. It's a good shape.
Yeah.
And the headliner's interesting too. I mean, people always, you get into a Miata and you're just instinctively, you see latches and stuff where the roof would connect, but this doesn't have that.
No, and it's one of the things when I first got the car, because I hadn't seen really any pictures. There's nowhere for the latches to go.
Yeah.
I didn't think the headliner would be one solid piece like this. I thought they might have Frankenstein the OEM one and added bits, but it really looks, it looks factory because it was factory, but just a really nice attention to detail.
Right.
And then, I've got a seat tower brace that's got the eyelets for a harness, but putting that across gives you a really big usable parcel shelf to put a couple suitcases to make this, done a lot of miles in this already for road tripping back and forth between Canada and LA, and never run out of space. So
it sounds like a nice road trip too, that whole western.
And it's nice and quiet if you don't want it to be too noisy.
Right, that's another thing, yeah. So maybe I'll have to take it out for a spin and see how it feels, because I'm really, really curious.
You should both go for a drive.
All right, firing it up. Key's still on the right side. Oh, just fired right up, dude. This feels good. The gauges look amazing. And yeah, that's funny. The same Lamical type holder I had in my Jeep. And yeah, when you sit in a right-hand drive car, you have to think for a second, wait, where's everything? What am I doing? And one of the most common things is people using the wipers, because the turn signal and wiper stock are also flipped. So that's what really throws off a lot of people. Have you driven much right-hander?
I have not.
Ever?
Ever.
Oh boy, okay. Well, this will be fun. Okay, well, leave it to me to not be confused by right-hand drive, but to be confused by 5-speed versus 6-speed.
You're good.
But in fairness, his gauge faces do show a 6-speed layout. So not my fault exactly, but oh my gosh. This reminds me how obsessed I am with the idea of owning a right-hand drive car at some point. That's my dream. For some dumb reason, it makes no sense. And another issue people have when they drive right-hand drive is they typically lift lazily to the left, because you're used to having you as the driver on the closer to the middle of the road. And so people just gradually get that way. Speaking of other right-hand drive cars, this road is full of them apparently. That was a 4-door Skyline. Anyways, what? Are we in Japan?
I feel weird being on this side of the car and not having a steering wheel in front of me.
Right. Are you stomping the phantom brake pedal at all or anything?
No, not yet.
I am obsessed with this thing, dude. This is awesome. And you're an NB fan. I mean, you really thought heavily about having an NB.
If one of these was a little more attainable and I didn't have to move to Canada, I think I'd own one.
Right. I mean, I think I just want to move to Canada, because then I could get the Smart Roadster I want.
There you go.
I could, so many different things. But let me gloss over the right-hand driveness of this. I mean,
it's so bizarre not hearing creaks with the top up.
well, and if we put the windows up,
dude, how weird is this?
It's quieter.
It's so quiet.
It's not that quiet, but
it's still an NB.
For an NB,
it's still an NB.
This is remarkably, and dude, wow, we haven't even really hit much of a turn, but
the stiffness.
The stiffness is crazy. And he was out tracking this, by the way. He daily drives it. Well, he has a few things, but he's not afraid to road trip it and then track it at the same breath. And that just, and this shifter, I shouldn't have driven this. This is incredible.
Watch out. Ooh.
Yeah, a little bit of a bump. And I don't want to say it's because I'm left-handed, but like I'm obsessed with right-hand drive cars because I like shifting with my left hand. It's just a weird, nice, fun, silly thing. I think you should drive.
Okay.
All right, how's it feel to be over there?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I mean, I probably will once I start driving it, but I immediately got in and started to like instinctively reach for the shifter, and there's a door.
There's a door.
There's a door here. I've never driven right-hand drive before, so it feels strange. Cool, but strange.
Yeah. So I don't remember if we mentioned this, but they were originally planning a run of 500 of these. But then, as we mentioned, the factory fire caused them to, well, stop production and switch then to the NC, which is great for us, but also bad for the world as a whole because this thing is so cool.
This is so special.
And I feel like, dude, if all 500 had been made, is there a chance that like there would, you know, they would have sold like completely, and then people maybe would have like wanted to buy more coupes, and maybe
that could have altered history.
It could have altered history
Miata history
of the Miata as we know it. Exactly. But isn't that wild?
This is the most first of all,
I'm basically on the yellow line, by the way.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you need to tell me if I'm drifting, because this is so weird.
This is amazing.
This car is remarkably special, though. Like, being in a Mazda Miata Coupe.
That's very unique.
It's mind-boggling. And all of the tasteful bits in here, too. Like, the steering wheel is sensational. All of the gauges, everything I'm looking at is just remarkable. I'm fangirling pretty hard over this car.
I am too.
This is really the Miata I wish I could own. It's also really cool that people like Pete exist who, they not only do they own such cool things, but they're so willing and excited to share them.
Yeah, Pete is a genuine, real human being. And isn't that fun?
It just feels weird, man.
All right, on the key, I mean, look at this little coupe thing. It's awesome.
That was a present from Lucas.
And dude, fun drive.
I'm glad.
I see what you were into when you first drove this. You were like, that's something clicks, and it's like, that's kind of special and different.
I think so.
And I think it's funny to park it next to an RF because, well, that's the current coupe-ish.
Beautiful lines.
Yeah, the lines are very, very similar, and I really like that. But also parking next to these exosets, which is a lot of people's idea of a really fun Miata, but I would just pick this all day. And
in this heat, I can tell you the AC is a little bit nicer.
The AC is great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. I'm glad thanks for bringing it out.
No, you know what? This is the place to bring it out to because people here seem to enjoy it, you know?
Right. You probably do just, you know, you're at a filling station on your usual trip between LA and Canada, and it's just, most people don't even think about it.
No, they're always interested about the steering wheel being on the wrong side.
Right, that's what gets their attention.
Yeah.
Not the fact that it's a very, very, like, the most special Miata. Like, there's very few Miatas that have this small of a run. And a lot of times it's like mine. Like, it's a special edition. They made like 200, but like, it's just an NC.
No.
Like, all that made it special was like the paint. Whereas this is like a engineering exercise. That's what made it special.
It's just a Miata.
That's true, and this is why I hang out with these people, because some people could go think they have the greatest thing ever, and even if it is the greatest thing ever, you're not making it a big deal.
No.
It's just a really, really cool car, and it's special to you, which matters.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found it.
That.
Yeah,
me too. Feel very lucky.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you have any questions, if you've seen one, because yeah, it's not very often when they pop up.
Try to get it out as often as I can so people can see it.
It's for the greater good.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for watching.